OpenAI is a major target. If you say we're going to pay for your legal expenses, under what circumstances, I wonder? Because if people go in there and explicitly steal, then they could have 1,000 could have 100 drive-by attorneys launch 100 lawsuits each and just drown OpenAI in lawsuits based on the training data. So this, I don't think that they've figured out some defense here. This is a very dangerous thing to do. Okay. It's literally like waving a red flag in front of bulls. Bulls being drive-by attorneys who are looking for a target. Be careful. I don't know who came up with this idea, but this sounds dangerous.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. A business is only as strong as its people, and every hire matters. Post your first job for free at linkedin.com/twist. Coda is the all-in-one doc for teams. And they just introduced an AI-powered assistant to take the busy out of the work. Get started for free at coda.io/twist. And InTouchCX. Want to build a loyal customer base for your startup? Unlock the power of innovative AI and automated support solutions from InTouchCX to deliver fast, personalized support and enhance your customer's experience. Schedule your consultation today at InTouchCX.com/twist.
All right, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. It's Madra Mondays. This is This Week in AI with my guy, Sunny Madra.
We are back.
Exciting day. Big, exciting day. Tell everybody why, Sunny.
Exciting weekend. Well, there's exciting weekend too. But
everything was exciting.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's start with the day and we'll go from there. So OpenAI DevDay, first one. What's interesting is we're just literally a little over 11 months in, right? Because this thing launched at the end of last November. And so we're at the beginning of this November. So like the first kind of developer conference. And, OpenAI came out swinging. They have launched a bunch of cost reductions to their existing models, capabilities to fine-tune GPT-4, which is important for folks that are building certain production applications and use case specific applications. And then a bunch of new features, one or two of which we'll try to demo here. And we can talk about GPTs as well. We don't, we weren't quick enough to be able to demo that, but that's sort of like an evolution of the plugins. And I know, we've talked about that. We've demoed them before as well.
The plugins were terrible. They were broken. And now it seems this new apps framework that Sam Altman demoed today was really, it looked like super compelling because you didn't need to be a developer to release something in the App Store. I thought that was the most fascinating thing that civilians...
And monetization.
Yes. So you could build... So let's start there because I felt this was the strongest part of the presentation, just in terms of something that I could see becoming a hockey stick. So let's go right to that.
Okay, well, so all of the GPTs, let's say, are going to be kind of forms of assistance, right? So let's kind of start right there. So what you'll see here is, and I've kind of created two just for fun really quickly. I created one around the executive order and one around the all-in pod. And so the executive order one, and you can see here, it's pretty straightforward to create these now. You basically give it a name, give it some instructions, pick the model.
And the instructions you said here is you are an assistant that is an expert on the new executive order from the White House on AI.
Yeah.
You pick the model GPT-4.
Well, this is the latest one, the 1106. This is GPT-4 Turbo that has the 128K context window.
Explain to people what that context window does.
Yeah. So that is effectively the amount of tokens that you can give it and it can come back out as a combination. And so,
which in plain English, an example would be a PDF of a book or a transcript of a call or a bunch of spreadsheets, etc., a database. Yeah. So it's when people say tokens, in a way, what they're saying is the size of the attachment. Correct. Is one way to think about it.
And it's not like correct, but I think conceptually you can use it, which is you can think about a token as a word, right? And so when you have like 128,000, like a typical page is 500 words, so you can kind of do your math.
A book is 60 or 70,000 words. So this is like one long book or maybe two small books.
Yeah.
So you could take the book Angel, you could take the book The Power Law,
Yeah.
and you could say, hey, make me Cliff Notes. And the whole concept of like Cliff Notes can be done for any product. You don't have to wait for Cliff Notes to hire some writers and spend $50,000 making it and then printing it. It's just available to anybody anytime.
And can be customized, right? You can give it some instructions to write it to you like a pirate or like a child or whichever version you
bullet points, tables, whatever it happens to be.
You. Exactly.
Got it.
So we did the executive order, and here you can turn on, so functions is something you can get into a different time, but this is like giving the assistant a capability to interact with like an outside service. And so basically, you'd be writing code if you're doing this. Code interpreter is, the one that you've even tried before, which is ability for it to analyze documents. And retrieval is the new feature as well, where you can now give it some documents. So in this case, I've given it like the overall summary, and then our law firm, DLA, they wrote an executive summary as well. So I've kind of given it both of those documents. And once you do that, you effectively
And now what do they call it? They call these apps? What are they calling this?
I think they're going to call them GPTs, right?
GPTs, okay.
GPTs, right? And I think that's how they've denoted them. And basically, you're up and running here. And, this is still in the preview and the assistant.
So what you're showing now is because we always like to explain it for people listening, is what looks like the normal ChatGPT window. So in a way, all of the sort of instructions you might give it, the setup, the architecture of this dialogue you're about to have with the language model has been done ahead of time for you.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to create a Shakespeare language model or a Shakespeare GPT, let's call it, a Shakespeare app. I'm going to call them apps. If I wanted to create a Shakespeare app, previously people have trained a model on all of Shakespeare's work. Here, you could just upload all of Shakespeare's work, maybe some analysis from some famous people.
Yes.
And you could call it the Shakespeare GPT or the Shakespeare app.
Yes.
And then I wouldn't have to do all that work as the next person who came in.
Correct. And you'll be able to publish this, and you'll be able to, kind of go off to the races. And so, here, and look, we've seen a bunch of startups that were doing this, and this is like, these demo days are becoming quite like when Apple used to have these days, right? They used to launch features that would wipe out apps, right? That were kind of doing, features that should have been part of the OS. And so I think a lot of, folks are building these, like take a document and create, and we'll demo one as well, but I think they have some good capabilities, better capabilities than this so far. So, I took those two orders, I dropped it in here, and it does give you like an initial summary. And look, this is hot off the presses. Like it just kind of came live about an hour ago. It doesn't fully summarize the document here. It's only done kind of like two sections, and there's multiple sections to this document.
But, what's super brilliant about this is now you can take this app.
Yeah.
And your app is the AI executive order app. The one I described was my Shakespeare app.
Yeah.
Another one might be, Gordon Ramsay's cooking app. And Gordon Ramsay can put it in every single video he's ever made, everything he's ever made, and they can publish it, and then it will go to the App Store, and OpenAI is going to have the equivalent of an App Store, and they're going to have the ability to let you charge for these. Did they mention how that works? And then the share, the revenue share?
So they didn't get into a lot of details, but what was interesting? Rather than like a cut model, which is what we have in the App Store, it felt like a more of a Spotify model, which would be usage based. And so, the way Spotify works is when you upload music there, it's you get paid as a, like a function or representation of how many streams you have relative to everyone else. And so the short blurb that Sam gave was more aligned to that type of business model than a charge $1.99 per, per use. And so maybe what they're trying to do is say, look, people are already paying us $20 a month. We'll just give you a portion of that, like in Spotify, depending on how much people are using it.
Got it. So they'll create a pool of money that goes to people who release these in their app store. Yep. And you don't subscribe to somebody's Shakespeare app. They would just, hey, 1,000 people are using this a day, so we're going to send you whatever, $500 a month. Yeah. Just a, kind of a non-specific revenue share. which is probably a mistake. They could incent these and give those, but they should come up with a legitimate tied to performance-based use case. Now, you got to be careful doing that because then there could be abuse in the system. But I think, if paid users use your app X number of times, you get paid for X amount of usage, could be pretty easy. For every search they do, you get a penny. Yeah. So if there were, 100 Shakespeare app searches, you got $1. And if there were 1,000, you got 10. If there were 10,000, you got 100. Pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah. And so, look, I think it's going to keep evolving, but this to me is a good evolution of plugins. I think it's a little bit of a concession by them that the original, and that's good, like they're moving quickly, right? The whole thing's only been around for 11 months. So they're conceding that wasn't the right play. They're going to have a store for these. They're going to make it such that non-developers can create them as well. And I think there's going to be a lot of innovation in a short amount of time. It's excellent for OpenAI as a platform because they're going to get a lot of mind share. This is an interesting thing that I also saw just from a relative standpoint and kind of tying back into your investing world. There was only about 50,000 people on the stream this morning.
Interesting.
Right? And so if you compare that to sort of like the size and scale of like an Apple DevDay or something like that, right? Still quite small. So it's really, really early. Like we're in the thick of it, but I think if you're building something here,
this is literally like the first time Steve Jobs shared the App Store. People are like, maybe, but to Sam, and by the way, Sam did a great job. So shout out Sam Altman. I texted him, congratulated him. Later this month, we're going to launch the GPT Store. So that's coming. And how that works, who knows? But I could see this be very interesting for people who are content creators. In other words, remember there were some authors who sued people. I think they might have even sued OpenAI for ingesting their books. Yeah. Well, this gives them an off-ramp. They could say, you know what? In the core model, we're taking out Stephen King's works.
Yep.
But there is a Stephen King app that Stephen King gets 70% of the dollars in. And if you want to quote Stephen King work and you want to build stuff that's Stephen King related, please use his app, right?
Yeah.
So in a way, this reminds me of what YouTube did around copyright, which is instead of taking down all these videos, they allowed people to claim ownership of that. So imagine somebody has a photo library and Dolly is using it. Well, now you can say, you know what? If you want to make images, by the way, check this box and you can use the Getty images.
Yep.
And there's a Getty app or GPT as they call them. And they should just call them apps. I don't know why they're calling them GPTs. I'm going to call them apps. But imagine if Getty just said, okay, we'll put a link to all of our stuff and you can make images based on these apps and we're done. All right. Congratulations to the team at LinkedIn who just completed the march to 1 billion users. Can you imagine 1 billion users now on LinkedIn? Of course, we all knew it was going to happen and it's happened. But, it's tough for startups out there right now and finding great candidates, it's hard. It's always been hard. You want the elite candidates. Where are those elite candidates? Well, they're some part of those billion users over at LinkedIn. And it's your job as the founder of your startup to get the right team members, get the right people on the bus before you decide on going to your destination. LinkedIn Jobs is going to help you find that next amazing hire, the one that's going to level up. The bar raiser, as they say. There's also those passive job seekers. The ones, they got a lot of job offers, but they check LinkedIn once in a while. So what you want to do is you want to post your roles to LinkedIn. You want to get active on LinkedIn, sharing on your feed, doing some blog posts, and then you want to post a job as well. Then you're going to be 100% certain that you don't miss out on the most qualified candidates. Everybody's on LinkedIn. That's why LinkedIn Jobs is going to help you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. So I want to give you your first job listing for free. LinkedIn.com/TWIST. LinkedIn.com/twist. That's LinkedIn.com/twist to post your first job for free and watch the magic as you get the greatest talent ever to apply for your open positions. Terms and conditions do apply because they're giving you something for free.
One of the other things they launched today is copyright protection. Did you see that?
Explain what that was. I was confused by that. Yeah. Explain that.
So, let me try to pull up the article. Maybe Nick, you can help pull it up. But
it's called Copyright Shield.
Yeah, Copyright Shield.
OpenAI will pay the costs incurred if users face legal claims around copyright infringement on both ChatGPT Enterprise and the API.
Yeah. So that means if you build something and someone comes after you saying, oh, hey, inside our in your model, and you've talked about this a lot, right? It looks like my work is in here. They're going to help protect you. So they're really standing up to their for their ecosystem that's going to be building these things here.
This seems like also though waving a red flag at a bunch of bulls, which are the lawyers. This may have an unintended consequence. OpenAI is a major target. If you say we're going to pay for your legal expenses, under what circumstances, I wonder, because if people go in there and explicitly steal, then they could have 1,000 drive-by, could have 100 drive-by attorneys launch 100 lawsuits each and just drown OpenAI in lawsuits based on the training data. So this, I don't think that they've figured out some defense here. This is a very dangerous thing to do. It's literally like waving a red flag in front of bulls. Bulls being drive-by attorneys who are looking for a target. Be careful. I don't know who came up with this idea, but this sounds dangerous.
Well, or maybe it's not because they're confident that they have no copyrighted work in there. And
okay. Sure. Maybe do you think they started pulling stuff out?
Yeah. And so they
I wonder if they did that. Do you think?
And they use all AI to make sure that they don't have anything in there. And they're so confident that come after us because we can show you that none of our training material has copyrighted work.
Yeah. I wonder if that's the case because there was Reddit, Twitter, Coda, Facebook. A number of people were concerned about these open crawls on the internet. And one of the things about these open crawls of the internet is if you're using one of those open crawls, and we talked about it, right? Is it even called open crawl? I think it's, that might even be one. Common crawl.
Yeah.
If you're using common crawl, it's in common crawl's terms of service, it's your responsibility to then know the terms of service of who they crawled and what you're allowed to do with it. So any LM or LLM, based on that common crawl, it's up to that group to then go make sure that it's not stolen material. For example, if there are a ton of websites that used to take my tweets or other people's tweets and republish them to their website and do some analysis on them.
Yeah.
So if you were to do this Twitter counter or whatever, and they had scraped and published that data, they broke the law doing that. Twitter never went after them, didn't know it wasn't a big enough target, it was offshore. Then you scraped it. Now you've trained your model on stolen content, which is like you buying a stolen bicycle. It's still a stolen bicycle. You still have to give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be super complicated. It's kind of a bold move. Maybe they're doing it for optics. Maybe they just, they know that they could burn $100 million on defending lawsuits and not worry about it because they have so much cash. It's a $90 billion company. Maybe they got so much money.
Or imagine because they've invested in Harvey. That's like a legal AI. Imagine they fight the lawsuits with an AI.
So they know they can outgun the drive-bys.
Exactly. It's just
pretty interesting. So this, I think, is going to change everything because this is like an app store that anybody can build apps for.
Yes.
This is going to be explosive in terms of its growth. I think there are going to be a bunch of surplus cognitive power in the world.
Yep.
When you're around on the weekend and you're like, what should I do tonight? That means there's surplus cognitive power just sitting out there. So there's a billion.
Cash poor is another way to put it as well.
Exactly. So you might have a billion people who are sitting there on a Friday night with nothing to do, or they're unemployed on a Friday during the day. And they go, you know what? That's a good place to make money. I should start building stuff there. And what that does is now you've got everybody finding and crawling and finding all the edge cases of interesting use cases, which is exactly what happened for Apple. Apple figured out that people wanted a flashlight. People wanted a calculator. People wanted a stock app, a weather app. They wanted messaging apps that had all kinds of cool features in it. They wanted an app for images that would let you put filters on it. And as you mentioned earlier, Steve Jobs was very attuned to this. So he would give people like 3 or 4 years to exploit the flashlight app. Mm-hmm. And then year 5 of the flashlight app, they'd be like, you know what? We're going to put that in the control center.
Yeah.
Year 5 of disappearing messages or emojis in messages. Okay, we're going to incorporate that into iMessage.
Yeah.
And so, or even groups, all of those features eventually made it into iMessage, where now iMessage feels in some ways very similar to WhatsApp.
Exactly. Yeah. So We're at the start of it. I kind of agree with you 100%. I think there's going to be a lot of momentum in this, and we're going to see a lot of innovation. And it's really going to change the way we consume the internet. I think that's the other fear because, or maybe opportunity, depending on which side of the fence you're on here. Instead of consuming the internet through the end sites, you'll find the bot to interact with, and the bots will have all different levels of capabilities depending on the, like apps, right? Depending on the sophistication of the developer. And you'd be like, wow, Sunny, I found this really good travel bot and it's great for A, B, and C, and it does everything you need. And so I think we're going to see one of the things that I kind of predict, put as a tweet out there and as a prediction was that we're going to really start seeing a different way in that the internet's consumed going forward.
Yeah. This could change a lot of things where the same way apps took people away from Google search. Now, Google search has kept growing because overall use of the internet keeps growing and people keep getting higher speed connections and more people get online and they have more.
Paid a little $18 billion a year to
suck down that Apple traffic. But the App Store did, take people away. When I search for restaurants, I use the Yelp app. And then maybe, sometimes I'll fall back to Google local and do a Google search. But they did take away 90% of me searching for restaurants. That's but one example. And so the question is, will chat GPT apps or GPTs, OpenAI, GPT chat, whatever, there's so many names for this company, will those actually intercept traffic or not? That's going to be an interesting question. And then could they be published as apps? The answer is probably yes. And Sam made it pretty clear. We're going to pay people who build the most useful and most used GPTs in our GPT store. We're excited to share more info soon. That says to me, it's an experiment right now. They don't have a formal process.
Also Spotify-like, though. It feels like that's why I was going. It's like Spotify-like. You got to put things in there that people use. That's how you're really going to get paid.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So that's apps or GPTs. What else? They did talk about also lowering the cost of the API.
Yeah. So, that's kind of tough to demo, but what I'll demo is alongside that, they have this new model. It's in preview as GPT-4 1106, right? That's today's date. And this is GPT-4. And if you ever used it, it can be slow. So I'm going to just do this here. Tell me about the theory of relativity. And if I click it here in the playground, you'll see how quick it spits stuff out now. So it's running, about as fast as GPT-3 Turbo was now, which I think is going to be really useful because the capability of the GPT-4 model is significantly, better than GPT-3 And so getting the cost down, I think something like 7x and then getting the speed up is going to create really good experiences. One of the things you and I have talked about is that back and forth speed is still a little bit lacking. So now they're just cutting away at that. And I think they're one more iteration from it being like real time where you won't even realize that you're even talking to something that's processing it on the other side.
Yeah, I felt like this typing and the haptics where it's like typing out your answer and you're kind of following along with it. It was like exciting and, was kind of enthralling a little bit for that first year. And now it's just annoying.
Yeah.
I appreciate Bard when I just type it in and Bard's just like, snap, boom, here it is. Just give me the whole thing. I just want the whole answer. And then, with the talking to your assistant, like the her kind of modality, it's just too slow. This whole CB radio thing where you have to say your request over and then it does it over. Yeah. I don't like that. I like to be able to stop it and say, whoa. I don't want 7 restaurants. I just want the one best one. Okay, sorry. Sorry, boss.
But the rate of innovation is incredible, Jake. How for the longest time, the measure that we used was like Moore's Law, right? And, Moore's Law was like every 18 months we'll get, twice as many transistors or something like that.
Yeah.
And so if you look at the speed of GPT-4 in less than a year, right? These are multiple, we're not talking like it's 2x faster, right? We're talking like 7x faster. So I think the speed at which this is happening now, it's going to really give us some of these experiences that people are looking for, these kind of human-like, almost instantaneous, sub 100 millisecond kind of things, right? Or maybe 250 milliseconds.
Well, and here we are. Yeah. So what else did they launch today?
I think that those are the major announcements. I think like some new APIs, the assistant APIs, the GPTs, and then the privacy shield. Those are the major
and the
announcements.
Tokens, right? The token window, which I'll just say is the attachment window.
Correct.
just so I can translate this for people. These are apps. Yep. I'm going to rebrand all their stuff.
Okay, go do it.
They're not tokens. It's attachments. Yep. That's it. Let's stop with the context window. Context window is too confusing. Attachments. Yeah. Attachments go up to 128K. So just like Gmail, remember when Gmail had like the 5 megabit limit and then it went to 10 and then they were like, okay, do whatever you want. We don't care. So that was huge because Claude 2 was up to like 100K in tokens. Now they leapfrog them. So this means they're paying it. This says to me, OpenAI is paying attention to the competitive set. I just wanted to one-up it. This also costs them a lot of money. I got to think when you're uploading a book or you upload an episode, I think you uploaded a transcript of the All In podcast to
exactly.
They're like, you can then put the whole transcript up and then start asking questions about the episode. Pretty cool.
I'll just pull that back up real quick. So I was doing it in the background we were talking, but I uploaded the whole transcript here, asked for a quick summary. And so, look, the other thing is there's a lot of tools that we're doing this now. Now you can kind of build your own bot here that can be an all-in bot. Yep. You can create a pipeline from Descript or whatever tool that you guys use there to transcribe these things. And it's all, you'll have a bot instantaneously that you can chat with about episodes.
Incredible. All right, let me tell you about how I'm able to manage thousands of applicants and hundreds of attendees for Founder University. Every time we do a new cohort, which is quarterly, we have thousands of people apply. We track them all in Coda. Coda is a doc on steroids. And then when they get accepted, we have 300, 400, 500 founders inside of Founder University. And every week, I ask them to send me an update on how their startup is doing. And then we can look at all that in Coda. Then we send automated reminders to those folks, and we track their week-over-week growth with these beautiful charts that Coda produces for us. Let me just tell you, I was going to build all this with a developer, but my team, they built an app in Coda in days and saved me, I think, 100 large. They also just announced Coda 4.0. This includes Coda AI. Basically, they've made a work assistant that knows your company, and then Coda AI will actually perform tasks for you. But here's the best part. It's free for doc makers. You can make all kinds of great documents inside of Coda. You can build databases, you can create workflows. This is the future, honestly. If you want a platform that will empower your team to work, organize, and collaborate together at lightning speed, and speed matters, I always say this, velocity. Well, get started with Coda today. With a free trial, head over to Coda.io. That's Coda.io/twist and get started for free. I am obsessed with Coda. I love Coda. So go to Coda.io/twist and get on Coda today for free.
I think that covers off all the major announcements from OpenAI Day, which was really fun. The next one,
the cost went down. Just so we're clear, if you blended it all, it's about 2.75 times cheaper than the GPT-4 model, according to our notes.
Correct. So faster and cheaper and bigger context windows. So you get a lot of
So they're working on cost reduction because they want more people to use it, and they put speed on the back burner for a little bit. But they want it to cost 2 to 3 times less money to do stuff. 1 cent per 1,000 input tokens, 3 cents per 1,000 output tokens. So pretty great. And the knowledge cutoff for GPT-4 Turbo is up to April 2023, I see. So this is interesting that these are the variables now. I bet you we'll be sitting here in 2 years, 3 years. These will no longer be the variables that we talk about. Costs won't even come. Next year, we won't be talking about cost, just like nobody talks about storage cost anymore. Like that was like an issue for 3 or 4. That's an issue for maybe a decade. People talk about online storage costs. It's not going to be even discussed. And I think the attachments, context window, aka context window, we're not going to even talk about that because it'd be like talking about like sharing
beyond like human, at 128,000 or 128K. It's already beyond most human. You can put books in there at this point.
Yeah, but if you uploaded a movie, if you uploaded Blade Runner, the entire film, and you wanted a frame-by-frame analysis kind of situation, that would be a lot bigger than the current context window. So I would think, if you said I wanted to analyze each frame. So, it's just, this is exactly like that with storage and transit. There was a time where the idea of sending somebody an entire movie or even an HD video that was more than a minute was you needed to have something like, what was Kim.com's company where you could share a file or something? It was something for sharing files that he did. You know, like back in the day, you couldn't share large files. You had to use like, you know, these third-party attachment things where you would upload, it would take an hour, then you'd send somebody the link, they would download it. Kim.com had a service that he got busted for.
Yeah. Mega
Upload. There you go. Yeah, Mega. I think it was like for short. Yeah. And then those things became unnecessary. That's what's going to happen here with all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm really interested in the apps. I thought that was the biggest announcement for me today is the apps.
All right. So I
should we rate that? Should we rate this stuff?
Oh yeah.
I rate the apps. Yeah. I'm going to rate the apps. I'm going to rate the app announcement as and the functionality that as you displayed it, a B+.
Okay.
That is B+ out of the gate.
Yeah. I'm going to go B-. And because actually, there's some nuances of what we've done here. So in both cases, in the one case I uploaded the White House executive order. In the other case, I uploaded the entire transcript of the last All-In pod. It wasn't able to analyze the whole thing. And so this functionality just came live and maybe they're throttling it. And, I've been getting some errors and timeouts, but from the engineering standpoint, it's meant to work. It's super easy, but it wasn't doing the whole thing. So we have to call that out. So
on a vision, I feel like it's almost all there. So B+, if they had the pricing and everything all sorted, then I'd probably go like A+. But it's kind of like the App Store in the early days, which is like, who knows exactly what the rules are going to be. But I give that a B+ for me, B- for Sandeep.
Yep.
And then for the, ChatGPT-4 Turbo, I don't know how to rate that.
That one's hard. That one's harder. I think let's wait for people to integrate that in. I think that's more of a developer kind of feature.
Sounds good. Nick, anything else we had to rate there that we didn't?
No, it was good. I thought, what Sunny was referring to is the GPT-4 new developer model in the playground was only grokking, if I'll use that word, the first 15 minutes of the transcript, or so maybe 10,000 tokens or so. Whereas Claude 2, which I use for almost everything that needs longer context window, more tokens in the context windows, we ran the same transcript in Claude and gave a very similar prompt, and it gave basically a perfect summary of the entire episode. Right? They even they even had all the way at the end. The host closed the show by joking about David Sachs' unreliable RSVP habits. Right? Almost perfect.
It's nuts.
Of each. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Claude is nuts.
ChatGPT wasn't there yet, so I'm still giving Claude the edge in this specific.
Okay. All right. So you would go with So for the token window, okay, I got it. Yeah. All right, great. Let's go on to our next demo.
Okay.
Congrats to the OpenAI team.
Yeah. So the next one, for these guys, I actually used this last week for a little project, and that's why I had some of the context ready. So it's called Droxy.ai. And what they have is like a platform that allows you to create chatbots, very similar to what we were just, showing off there. But I want to maybe lead into this one where you can give some guidance to teams like this who are building things that are getting, a bit maybe cannibalized from the platform. So in their case, you can create a chatbot, you can upload your content, you can do your configuration on which model you want to use, and what your behavior is. Very, very similar to what we saw there. You can customize what the chatbot looks like. You can integrate, you can do integrations, look at the conversations. And so here, once this is done, you can click off to it. And similar here is you can chat with it regarding the executive order, right? So you can say, give me
So the same Shakespeare app or the same executive order app can be built here with Droxy.ai. So you asked me the original question, how can you differentiate? Very simple. If you allow white labeling and you allow these things to exist outside of your domain name, then that's something that ChatGPT is not going to do, right? They're going to have all of their apps or GPTs in their store. It's going to be part of their flow. Sometimes you want to have these things on your own domain name. You want to control them and you want to monetize them how you want to monetize them. So it's kind of the equivalent of if you were on Patreon, right? Or Substack, and you have to exist in their ecosystem on their domain names typically. You can do custom domains on Substack, but essentially a Substack is you're on Substack, for better or worse. But then there are things like Ghost, which is a back end, and then there is Stripe for memberships, and there's other membership software that kind of disappears into the background and lets you do these things on your own without having the rules set and living in the ecosystem of another player. Yeah. And that allows people to do things that they wouldn't be able to do when they're inside of that. So I kind of like those, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so that would be that's the right path to go.
Yeah. So during the dev day, they showed a demonstration where there was like an assistant that was integrated into like a third party site, like they call it like Wunderlist or something, but it's a very dev heavy integration. I think what you can do here is what you talked about is make it such that a non-developer, low code can create one of these things for your customer service area, whatever it happens to be for your business. And basically
put a domain name on it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, just slap a domain or hit export and make an app out of it. So you could take all this code and release it as Swift or, whatever, programming language you're using. And then you could then compile it and make an app out of it, right? So those are the ways to kind of free people from being caught up in somebody else's ecosystem, which is always dangerous. Like Sam Harris had a Patreon, but he didn't want to be beholden to Patreon and have them take his money away because he watched them do it to somebody. And the person they did it to was somebody doing something abhorrent, right? But he's like, okay, they took the person down doing something abhorrent, right? Let's just say they were like doing hate speech. So he was like, okay, well, at some point they may come for me for doing something controversial. Therefore, I don't want to have that attack vector. And I want to own this relationship with each of these people. So I'm going to move off the platform. Just like some people will, we use as an example, Wistia. It's a great video hosting service for businesses. And we can white label it and use it for our videos instead of using YouTube. So we're just independent of that, right? So some business users will want to use that, right? Very simple.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea. So like I really liked it. I used it. In fact, I used it for some of our documentation as well. So and kind of continue down that path to create something that allows you to white label it, put it out there, make the workflow very simple, allow you to attach a domain to it, all the good stuff.
Pick a monetization model. Like you're going to be beholden to the monetization model that OpenAI has, just like you are beholden to Patreon. Here, you could tell people sell it one time. Sell it per query, sell it per minute, whatever you choose, whatever your jam is, subscription, et cetera. So I would just listen to your customers and keep building features that ChatGPT doesn't get to. There's a long tail of features that people would want. And enterprise and white label are amongst them.
Great. All right. Going to keep rocking and rolling.
I'm going to give them a B. I'm going to give them a B on their service right now.
Yeah, I'm there with you. I think they've done a good job. It works really well. Super simple, easy to get set up. And they just need to add sort of the distribution loops into the application. All right. Okay. Both B's. Good stuff.
Listen, a lot of times when you're building a startup, you have to take on better funded incumbents in your market. Simple as that, right? This is David and Goliath. This makes the startup journey really hard. But one of the proven ways to beat an incumbent is by building an insanely loyal customer base. We all know this. You want to have those advocates. You want to have those promoters out there working for you. And one way to build loyalty is by giving your users a wonderfully customized experience. You might not have the time to manually analyze every interaction you're doing, which means you're missing out on key insights. But InTouchCX is going to help you solve this problem. They can help you build automated customer experience solutions so you can personalize every interaction. InTouchCX is going to help you deliver tailored experiences through voice, email, and most importantly, what all the millennials and the Gen Zs love, chat support. So improve response times and increase productivity by 30% or more. This is going to help you drive greater satisfaction and loyalty with your top users, the advocates, the promoters. Make every part of the customer journey a personal one with InTouchCX. Get started with an automation expert at intouchcx.com/twist. That's intouchcx.com/twist.
Next one. All right. I think you're going to like this one, JCal. So this one's called Mindy. It has no interface. It's email. And so this one, I'm going to jump into my email. So when you get started with it, basically, this is like the first email that you get. And it says, hey, my name is Mindy. Glad to work with you. And just reply to this email so that you agree to terms of service and let's get started. And then basically you get going. And so you can give
and it's
it
a
tasks.
it's an AI chief of staff, it says.
Yes,
which means it's going to sort your email
Doesn't sort your email. And so the examples we're going to look at is it can do research on a topic for you. It can analyze documents. It can organize meetings. And so I'll just show you here because it's not instantaneous. So it takes about, in my case, like 20 minutes. So I did the same thing. We're on this summary of this executive order. So I had a PDF of the executive order, the same one that I put in Droxy and same one that I put into ChatGPT Assistance API. And basically said, hey, I have this PDF. Executive order from the White House, can you summarize it for me? And basically it sends me an email back of a summary of it. So inside your workflow, and I know, Jake, how you've been talking about getting people to just use these things in their existing workflows. Now it's here. And so
in Gmail or in your email.
In your email.
So this is like a chat assistant, a co-pilot for Gen Xers and boomers who live in their email boxes. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, what's great about it is you can CC them. You could CC Mindy.
Yes, as well. And so I did another one, which, pretty cool. I said, hey, Mindy, could you add a calendar invite for a weekly poker game this Thursday? It did. It sent me the calendar invite for the poker game, which is right here. And, sort of like, well done. I got to give them credit on this. And the last one, again, you don't have to even give it an attachment. This was one of their examples, and I wanted to summarize this Supreme Court opinion and just gave a link to it. And it did the exact same thing, gave me a quick summary of it. So this is really low barrier to entry using assistants for a lot of different workflows and use cases.
Love it.
Yeah.
I give this a B. It's neat. What I like about it is the ability to CC it and have it suggest things.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that Mindy is CC'd on these communications. And then she might say to me in Slack or whatever, hey, you didn't get back to this person.
Yeah.
Hey, put this on my to-do list. So this idea of an integrated in my email box, I wanted to really sort through stuff. So already you have Gmail and Superhuman putting things into tabs. What I wanted to do is show me a bunch of stuff and say, I think this is not important. Am I correct? And you say, yeah, it's not important. Never show it to me again. All right, I think this is a founder pitching you to invest in your company. What should I do with it? And I say, oh, you should forward that to this email. So I have an email for our database team.
Okay.
And I want to say, yes, that's correct. In the future, I want you to automatically email any stuff from a founder to this email and let this person know. And if it's a biotech company, I want you to respond and say, we don't invest in biotech. So I could see this assistant learning and doing reinforcement learning. And then I say, well, that's my wife, that's my family member, that's my brother. This person works for me at launch. This person's an LP. And if it started to learn who the different people were and how important they are, so it just asked me, hey, I think this person's really important. On a scale of 1 to 10, oh yeah, that's a 10. That's my wife. Oh yeah, that's a 10. That's, the president of my organization. Oh, that's a 10. That's a CEO of my most important portfolio company. Then it could start to learn over time. And then this is where the talking interface, I would love on a widescreen monitor for it just to go boom.
Yeah.
Here's 10 emails. Let's go through them real quick. Number 1, this. Number 2, what do you want to do with this? Number 3, what do you want to do with this? Number 4, what do you want to do with this? Can you imagine if it, on my thing, it just brought up 10 emails at a time and said, these 3 emails look like they're startups pitching you. Would you like me to send them to Andre? And I would look at them and say, yes. Boom, done, dispatched. Okay, these 2 look like they are press releases. What would you like me to do with them? I'd be like, delete them, delete any emails from that person before, and put them on my spam filter.
Yeah.
Boom. Because that would be like, I'm training it what to do in real time. Yeah. And then it could just show me, this email came in.
Yep.
Imagine you're sitting there, and as email comes in, it goes, an email from a founder who wants you to invest in his company came in. I'm sending it to Andre in 5, 4, 3. Like when you open Waze, it gives you that countdown clock because it thinks you're going to your office or whatever. Yep. And it's just like going to your office in 5, 4, like that. Boom. And it would just dispatch. Wait a second. Let me see that one. Yeah. You know what? I'll respond to that one.
Yeah.
You get the idea.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is what you're talking about is a little bit of a mix of an end service, but also an email client. And what these guys right now are, they're an end service, right? So they so they'd have to get CC'd on every message coming in and then process it on their side. It's almost interesting to see what could happen if you took some of the ideas you're talking about and moved it into the email client. Like
shout out to the Mindy team.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Mindy team. Email me. Like an email assistant that sorted emails is a much better idea than just talking to one, like creating a gateway. I would study how people are drowning in email and how they route them and how they dispatch emails and be that. Be the email router, sorter part of chief of staff.
I think that's a really good kind of, a direction for them to go in there. I think it could be really powerful.
Well, I mean, and Superhuman's done some stuff, but what Superhuman's done is really around responding and the email, composing emails, right?
Yep.
But I really want the higher level stuff, which is sorting through them.
Yeah.
Sunny, you got a grade?
To me, this is a B+.
I'm giving it B- on this one, actually.
Okay. All right.
I feel it's very simple as presented, but I love the potential. So, keep impressing us here, but great job.
Yeah,
great start to the Mindy.com and great domain name too. Mindy.com. I love it.
Love it. Exactly. Great. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next one. We're going to keep, we're going through a lot of these
with oil
today.
here. Yeah. I'm liking it.
All right. Okay. So Brave browser, most
my favorite browser. I love Brave.
Okay,
I use Brave.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. So they've, in their nightly build, you have to get their nightly build.
Okay.
Just you download the browser, you do your regular thing. I'm trying to learn about the Queen's Gambit. I'm going to go to the Wikipedia article. You know what? Screw it. I can't be bothered reading it. You just go right here. You click on this thing called Leo. You say, summarize this page, and boom.
Beautiful.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I could be, in Tech Meme today, and, I can't be bothered to read about what happened at OpenAI Day, but I really trust Tech Meme.
Short summary.
Just give me the short summary of that page.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Fascinating. Fantastic.
Right?
Yeah. So this is a great feature. And then I think it should do this for bookmarks.
Okay.
So I would say this summary should summarize and bookmark and put into my knowledge base, which is to say, what I would actually like this to do is I would like Brave to take every page I browse
you can do these things,
and organize them, right?
Okay.
So instead of doing this, I want Brave, and this would be a paid feature I'd pay $10 a month for.
Okay.
Every single page, instead of having a history, build a summary of the page, give me a picture of the page, and build me a knowledge base and categorize it. So then I can say, I surfed a page.
Okay.
I remember there was a story about Corvettes being converted into EVs. Yeah. And it would be like, boom. Yes, here's the story you read on this date.
Yeah.
And here are other stories related to it. Boom. That would be a killer feature, right? So this idea of like your history, your browser history becoming an AI, a language model into itself. That could be killer. Yeah.
Integrated into everywhere you've surfed. And then we always have those moments like, oh man, where was that? Then you're searching like crazy and you can't quite find it. And it was a one particular article that you got through to some link.
And then suggest things to me based upon what I've done. You see I'm going and looking at Nick's. You see me looking at recipes for breakfast foods. Okay, I'm into, I dig my brunch. I dig my Nick's. Give me my next thing. Love it. So I give this a solid B.
Okay.
This is something we all want built into a browser. Yeah. And it shows incredible potential of, browser plus AI. I think they should keep pulling the string and see where this leads them.
Yeah. And you can see here from the,
they let you use different,
and you can get different tasks. You can kind of upsell into more advanced models and conversations about the page. So not just summary, but like conversations, generation. And so this is a great place for them to put those features in. So it's a great monetization, as you would say.
Lots of monetization here.
Lots of monetization. All right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
You didn't give a grade. What do you give it?
I give these guys a B2. I think this is great. Yeah. It's a good start. I use kind of Brave not as my main browser because I use Google Workspaces for everything. But I think this, for my browsing browser, I may move all the activity over here now. So I'm very excited.
You can do it with one click, by the way. It moves everything over because it's based on Chromium.
Yeah.
And so, but the other thing that happens with the Brave browser is because they get rid of all the fakaka, all the cookies and ads and popovers, it's incredible in terms of the speed to load pages. And also, when you have pages that are just too heavy, that have all kinds of crazy pops, it doesn't take over your browser. Now, I know that's only like 1 out of 50 pages you might go to, but it really does speed up your browsing. And when also I would check out the Brave mobile browser Not to make this a commercial for Brave, but shout out to my friends at Brave. Because when you're on mobile and you're on a really crummy connection, like all that stuff is like 50% of the page is stuff you don't need.
Oh, nowadays it's really bad.
It's really bad. And some people are like, you go to the New York Post or Drudge or some of these pages, it's just like, I don't know how many cookies are going on it.
Like first the cookie box, and then you got to sometimes an ad, and the X is like
you got to X things out. It's too much. And so when you're using it on mobile, you really can see how dramatically faster it is. So.
Okay. Oh, I'm going to give that a try.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Okay. And let's go to our last one, which is, I know you're a big fan of these folks as well.
Zapier makes you happier. I love Zapier.
Exactly. And so, I didn't do the end-to-end demo here as well because, the team doesn't sometimes like it when I integrate things into our Slack. So I don't always get the full freedom. But here you can see how straightforward it is. Now, as I can say, when I get an email from Michael Gerton, send me a Slack message.
Yep.
And you and I were having a kind of a group chat conversation this weekend about like, hey, when certain emails come in, you should put it into a Slack channel so you can talk about it. So they're just making this.
Yeah, I was speaking specifically about expenses. I won't say whose discussion this was, but I have a channel for expenses. So when producer Nick or Presh or somebody on the team expenses something, I and the accountants or whatever see it in real time from, I don't know which card it is, but whatever card we use, it zips it over into Slack and I see it. Now, what's interesting is I'll see things and I'm like, oh, we're paying for that? I didn't know that. I might want to use that. Or what is this thing? I don't even know what that's about. So I can just reply to the Twitter thread, to the Slack thread. What is this? And then imagine fraud. Imagine somebody were stealing money or using the corporate card in the wrong way. You could be like, hey, who went to Miller and Lux and a Warriors game? And they'd be like, that was you, Jake Allen. I'd be like, okay, that's allowed. But if it was somebody else, I'd be like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm not, I haven't been to a Warriors game in 3 months. What's going on here? Right?
I know. Let's go.
Yeah. But so, the idea, these things were, look, Zapier had always done a good job of making these things like pretty easy. I think it's now at the, lowest barrier. Like you just come in here, type in what you want. It then creates it for you. And then you just kind of go through their usual builder to connect it to all your services to make it happen. Right. And so they couldn't have made it easier. I think they've done an incredible job. And there's no reason you should not be using this service now.
Yeah. So when you previously did this, you had to do if that, this, then that, Booleans, and you had to like do each thing. It was a little bit, I don't want to say it's complicated, but I think, the bottom 50% of your company, depending on how tech savvy they are, like at a small business, I would say the bottom 50% would struggle with this. The top 20% would do it easily, and 30% would take them, 15 minutes to figure it out. They'd have to watch a video, right? This is just going to make automation a lot simpler if you can do it in natural language. So this is another example of making things easier for civilians to be really good at technical tasks.
Yes.
So it falls into the whole thing we did with, the code interpreter, which is another terrible name. Whoever's doing the branding at OpenAI, just call me. I'll tell you what to call things. They shouldn't call it code interpreter. They should call it data scientist. That's it.
They changed the name like twice. They called it code interpreter, then it was advanced data analytics, and then today they called it code interpreter again.
Just call it analyst, data analyst. I like data analyst or data, something like that. But anyway, the point is making things easier to use. So if everybody could be a good writer today with AI, that's great success. If everybody could become good at scripting and doing Zapier, that's amazing. If everybody could do basic UX design, if everybody could do basic music composure, the entire society will go from being neophytes to good.
Yes.
So like you no longer have to suck. Like 80% of people suck at everything. Now everybody's going to be good at everything. And then there'll just be some people who are elite. But we won't have this like elite and suck.
Yeah.
Just everybody will be okay to good.
Sort of the mobile phone did that for everyone too. Like, I don't know if you're, once everyone got on the smartphones, once everyone got on smartphones, we had that same, people used to struggle with directions, right? Think about and even when you had online maps, you still have to go to, MapQuest and print it out and do that.
Yes.
Like now.
It was an equalizer.
Exactly. But now if you run into any person that can't get directions right, Like you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, the idea that you would be lost, it's an edge case being lost. Like if you're lost, it's because you're in a third world country. And
even then, right? Like,
yeah, it would be even hard because you would have the GPS location or your phone died. That's actually the reason. Yeah, the fear of the phone dying.
Yeah.
All right, I give this. Gosh, it's either a B+ or an A- for me because it's new. The vision is great. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and go B+. I'm gonna go B+.
I'm at an A-. I think it's like the one thing I was going to hold back, like, the one thing that held people back is like that if then else kind of, scenario or IFFT, right? And it's just simplified now. You don't have to do it. You specifically tell it, hey, when I get an email from this person, send me a Slack message. Yes. And it walks you through the configuration. And that's going to really make things a lot more productive for folks. You can use it outside of work use cases as well. And I'm very excited by it. The simplicity of it.
Fantastic. And the Zapier has all kinds of really interesting things. Like they have Typeform, LinkedIn, Instagram.
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah. I'll actually just go back and let me just pull that back up. I might have lost it here. Oh yeah, here it is. I might have lost here. They have some
Producer
examples.
Nick, you use Zapier at all or no? Do you have any Zaps set up right now, Producer Nick?
No.
So why don't you go ahead and do this for the show?
Here's some of the examples.
See if you can do some of these, Nick, for the show. Where when I think I set this up long ago. When we publish a YouTube video, it goes to a Slack room. Like that's set up, right? You don't have to.
That is set up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought you meant, do we have any in terms of like booking the show, not with like
No, what I would like to do is when the show publishes to automatically do the tweet, do a LinkedIn, whatever, do an Instagram. I don't know what's possible. Of like just automatically when it goes up on YouTube, have an automated publish, boom. Because then if we forget, it's okay. We just at least got that out, right?
Yeah. The problem is when you're uploading to YouTube, you have to go through, when you're uploading to Twitter, you have to actually upload the file manually. It doesn't do it via Zapier.
So I would still do that. But I'm saying like have Zapier at least when the YouTube video goes up, do a tweet, do a LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be the full thing. It's just like a little quick signal that it's up and running. You can still do the fuller one. Yeah. Twitter, not currently supported. Yeah. I think that was when.
It's right here.
It's Twitter.
Twitter's not supported. Yes, you got Telegram.
Yeah. So they are trying to figure out, my understanding with the Twitter situation is, remember, Elon said you have to pay in order to have access to the API. I think Zapier maybe hasn't paid or doesn't want to pay. I don't know what the situation is.
I think like the min price is quite a lot. It's
$50,000 a month or something.
Yeah, something like they don't have the.
Does it do it to LinkedIn? Because I think the last time I tried it with LinkedIn, it wasn't working there either.
Some of the social networks were getting annoyed that people were doing too much of this automated posting. So I think that it was frowned upon by some folks. But look, you're saying when This Week in Startups publishes on YouTube, send a post on to the This Week in Startups LinkedIn account. Yeah.
Yeah, I just was copying and pasting, so I got the text wrong. Yeah, it looks like it does LinkedIn.
Yeah. So it's great. We just have to connect it. Great. Awesome. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go B+. Pretty great.
Okay.
Awesome. All right. Well, what a great day. And then next week we'll do Grok because I got access to Grok. You got, did you get access yet or no?
Yeah, I just got it when we were sitting here. So
I just got it. It's pretty solid at first glance. Yeah, I would say it feels like it's maybe 6 months behind, something to that kind of.
But what's crazy is, look, they did it in less than 90 days. So
that's impressive. Yeah.
Yes.
And it has the entire Twitter corpus. So I think what my gut's telling me, because I did some searches, I think for real time, it's going to be the best real time ever made. Because you'll be able to do something like, tell me about the Lakers game tonight. Yeah. And it'll be like, yes, LeBron had rolled his ankle and left at this time. Anthony Davis had 40 points and this person turned the ball over 7 times. So you'll get like that in real time.
Okay.
It could be really interesting. And then also it let you have multiple chat windows open at once.
Yeah, I saw that. And
which was kind of cool.
And
then branch, you can also see the branch. Yeah. Explain to people what the branch thing, conceptually that is, with an example, please.
Well, we'll do it like live next week, but I think the concept is you start a chat And then you want to basically keep that main chat going, and you want to you want to branch off that chat because you have like sort of another idea. So let's just say you're talking about, this week's basketball game, and it's going, you're having some back and forth, but then you're like, oh, I want to, talk a little bit more about LeBron because I'm curious about X, Y, and Z. You can kind of jump out from there into a chat related to LeBron. That's the concept that they're going after, which I think is a unique UI concept. They have some definitely really different UI concepts, which I think is good for this chat era.
It's also a little bit rebellious, so I think they're going for a little bit like cheeky. And so I had it on rebellious mode, and it was kind of being funny the whole time. Which was fun. Like I think it's going to have a playful nature to it. And listen, Elon entering the race with, all these other players is only going to up everybody's game.
Well, and he's going to push people to go even fast. I mean, we're already going super fast, right? But now I think I think overall for the ecosystem, it's good to show that in less than, kind of 90 days, and you can only spend so much money in that amount of time as well, that they were able to pull this off. And that's going to, force people to reset. Like, think about what you got to be thinking if you're at Google right now, and they haven't even released, sort of their latest and greatest yet. So it's going to push
this is where I think Sundar could take a note, which is if he saw Sam out there today with Satya Nadella, you need to get out there and start having the leads of every single division, Google Flights, Gmail, Docs, YouTube, every leader on January 15th needs to get out there and do their demo of what they accomplished. And if you didn't accomplish anything, then maybe somebody else needs to run YouTube. Maybe somebody else needs to run Gmail. Or somebody else needs to run Chrome. Like the fact that Brave is releasing stuff and Chrome isn't, kind of tells you, or like
even
Google.
Even the email thing, like that should be in Gmail, right? No, like kind of maybe they should just go buy Mindy or something. But like that's the
they just need to keep up. And I think this is where like it's a great organizational case study. How paranoid Sundar is about this is going to speak volumes. He should be super paranoid, and I would be lighting a fire on every division head under their feet. Like, let's go. We're going to do a demo. Every single Google product's going to demo their AI stuff on January 15th. Good luck. 100 days and counting. Or I would just tell everybody, like 100 days from now, we're doing this. You're going to have to demo what's new on YouTube.
That's like that's Jan 6 pretty much. Yeah, Jan 15th. Like I said, that's 100 days from now.
100 days, right? Whatever it is. Like it's let's see, it's November, December, January, February. December, January, February. Like March 1st, we're going out there for South by Southwest. It's on. Let's go.
Rock and roll.
The end. Okay. There's been another amazing episode of This Week in Startups with Sunny Madra from Definitive Intelligence. If your company needs help with AI, he's your guy. He's Sundeep on Twitter, right? You have the first name club? There you go.
I'm the first name club.
All right. Follow at Sundeep, and we'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups.